Evening all. Right, you might have seen from our previous post a Evening Standard post about an article about this new poll that shows that if Jeremy Corbyn doesn't go pro-EU, then there is a massive chunk of the youth vote that he could lose at the next election. Now, this is by a new youth campaign that has set up. It's called Our Future, Our Choice, and in combination with Youthonomics, they commissioned this poll, and Our Future, Our Choice is just setting up as a campaign. It's run by three people in their 20s, Lara, Femi and Will. You might know Femi already from a ton of Twitter videos and also his constant pestering of Nigel Farage as he does phone-ins. But anyway, they're now set up as a proper campaign, and to kick it off, they commission this research. And essentially what it does is say that, right, we can see at the moment that Conservatives and Labour are about 42% each in the polls, and Labour have been peddling this constructive ambiguity about whether they've got all the options on the table, they keep saying. Even though they're respecting the vote, they've half opened the door to other things. So this has asked the crunch questions of, imagine at the next election the Conservative and Labour parties both support going ahead with Brexit and the Liberal Democrats are opposed to Brexit. How would you vote then? And what you can see in that case, if Labour stick with Brexit, is they plummet to 30% of the vote. And Lib Dems tend to pick up most of that. But here's the most important thing. With the under 40 Remain voters, then more go to Lib Dems and Labour. Conversely, imagine at the next election Conservatives going ahead with Brexit and Labour, Lib Dems are opposed to Brexit. How would you vote then? Labour on 39%. So a small sort of like 3% sort of step down at the moment. But with the youth vote, 73% with Labour. So comparing 73% of the youth vote for Labour versus 39% of the youth vote with the Labour if they go pro-Brexit, that is a massive chunk, that is a massive loss. So you can see from all of this why Jeremy Corbyn, to give him credit, has been wise to sort of sit on the fence at the moment so that he doesn't step down behind the Conservatives by going too pro-EU right now, and doesn't step down a massive chunk by going overtly and aggressively pro-Brexit. However, if a crunch point comes up, then clearly there's only one way he can go if he wants to retain the youth vote. And so that's the main message of that. So given that crunch points will be coming up, he needs to be prepping now how he can make that move, who he needs to be keeping on board and how. Now, the reason, I believe, why Jeremy Corbyn is anxious about going to pro-EU is because of the Northern Heartlands vote, you know, all those constituencies that are Labour and pro-Brexit, and also the working class vote. If Labour throw away their working class vote, then they become unmoored from their working class origins and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. A recent poll by YouGov showed that North England is now 54% for Remain, compared to South England, which is 52. So now the North is actually, the Labour heartlands are more pro-Remain than the South. Furthermore, you have to remember that if you want to talk about the working class vote, think about the future here. The working class youth voted Remain. So if you think about the social categories, the top one is A, B, then it's C1, then it's C2, then it's DE. In C2, during the referendum, it was 54% for Remain versus 46% for Leave, from the 18 to 34-year-olds. For DE, so that's an 8-point lead for Remain amongst that band of the working class youth. For the bottom band of working class youth, DE, it's an even bigger difference. It's a 12-point margin. In DE, for 18 to 35-year-olds, it was 56% for Remain and 44% for Leave. So if Jeremy Corbyn wants to guarantee his future with the future working class vote, then he needs to be pro-Remain, and he needs to think about how he starts engineering that now. Right, And that's why polls like this by youth groups, so remember I was talking the other day about the 75% new youth group for Stop Brexit cropping up. Here's another one popped up. I'm aware of others as well. So this aspect of it is really kicking off now. And that's the one to watch. Because, here's something else I didn't say. At the next general election, if the Conservatives support going ahead with Brexit and Labour and Lib Dems are opposed to Brexit, how do you then vote? For the under 40 Remain voters, Conservatives have only got 9%. So, so bear that in mind. The Conservatives would get wiped with that stance, and that's before more economic ramifications come along. So this is where Jeremy Corbyn needs to be in the future, and he needs to be thinking about how he starts making moves in the right demographics to be able to move to that now. Right, that'll do. See you later, folks.